Oh yeah, what's going on guys? In today's video I go over the things I hate about the Canon M50. Oh yeah. What's going on guys? I hope you guys are doing well, and in this video I'm going to be going over the things I hate about the Canon M50. Actually, hate is kind of a strong word. I hate to use hate, and I always like to be positive about the things I review or the things I use. Because, you know, if you have issues, you always work around them, especially when you have devices like this. With any camera, there's no perfect camera, but using the Canon M50, I do have a few things that I want it to be better, but I do understand it is a Canon mirrorless camera, and it's kind of, I would call it beta for them, because, you know, hopefully in the future, a full-frame mirrorless camera with like 5D Mark IV, 1D X Mark II features in here, but maybe in the future. Now, it took me a while to make a list, so that's the list, and I'm going to be going over this list because I really don't have many things that I hate about the Canon M50, but I'm going to be showing you and telling you what I don't like about this camera as of right now. Now, if you're new to this channel, I am Ben. I do tech reviews, Canon M50 reviews, Canon mirrorless cameras reviews, anything like vlogging, tool reviews. But yeah, I do a few vlogs here and there. But if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button for me. And for this month, it's getting actually the end of Vlog Every Day in April, but I reviewed the Canon M50, and I'll leave you a link in the card above to that playlist where you can watch all my other videos about the Canon M50. Now, tomorrow is Monday, and it marks the end of Vlog Every Day in April, but I'm going to be pushing to make more videos about stuff every day. Canon M50, Canon mirrorless cameras is what I'm focusing on right now, and there you go. Let's get started in the video. Now, I'm going to be kind of going over my list from what I hate the most, what I dislike the most, to the least. And keep in mind, this is very, very nitpicking because I do realize this is a little small mirrorless camera. I don't expect it to have cinema qualities, professional quality. This is sub $100. So I really do love this camera, and you can see all my love for this camera in the link above for that playlist for the review of the Canon M50. Now, let's start off. Now, the Canon M50 shoots 120 frames a second, which is very buttery smooth, but it is only 720p. I'm going to sneeze because allergy season, it's spring. But 720p in 2018 is like, why? No, it's good, it looks good, but come on, at least 1080p Canon. And for the thing about the 120 frames a second, you don't have autofocus, the servo autofocus, so you can't continuous autofocus, and you don't shoot audio. That's fine, you can always work around it. You can use 120 frames for a second for just B-roll, but sometimes you want to, you know, stop it slow, talk to the camera, then go maybe slow motion. You know, you get more creative when you have audio and the autofocus with it. But, you know, like I said, you work around the equipment, you work around the features that you have. But 120 frames a second, see, the biggest caveat, I think, well, it's good for beginners, but if you're a seasoned video editor, it's kind of odd because it shoots 120 frames a second, but the actual file is 30 frames a second. So it takes the 120 frames a second and splits it up into 30 frames a second, so you get it all a full stretched out video file, which is good if you're a beginner video editor. But I kind of want full control, so I want audio in my video. I want the full 120 frames in you know, one-to-one time format, not the whole stretched out. But anyway, and 120 frames a second, I've mentioned this in a previous vlog up there when I shot a bunch of 120 frames a second with the Canon M50. Now, 120 frames a second is very good, like I said, but when you enable 120 frames a second, you have to go into the video format settings, then choose enable for 120 frames a second. But here's the caveat for that. If you came from 30 frames a second, because that's what you're shooting at, then wanting to shoot 120 frames a second. So if you enable 120 frames a second, and then you're done with 120 frames a second, then you go disable 120 frames a second. Where does it put you at? It put you back at 1080p 60. But no, I had it on 1080p 30. Why is it automatically defaulting back to 1080p 60 frames a second? Yeah, that's a lot of numbers. I said 128 because I'm a computer guy, and that's an odd actual a number that we use a lot. But yes, 1080p 60 frames a second is what it defaults at when you disable 120 frames a second. Okay, guys, let's go into my next thing. 4K for the Canon M50 is sad. It's super sad. You don't have the dual pixel autofocus, which is sad. Why? Why don't we have dual pixel autofocus? I'm sure there's a perfectly good engineering explanation for this, but for a consumer, we need that dual pixel autofocus. I don't care if they're cropped in so much. As long as we have that dual pixel autofocus, we're good. But now let's talk about the crop. The crop on the 4K of the Canon M50, it's super cropped in. Okay, I understand that's cool and that's good, but give us more of the sensor so we can actually have a wider image so we can use it for vlogging. Now, this video is actually shot in 4K, and can you tell me what camera am I shooting with? Leave me a comment down below if you know what I'm shooting with, and if you get it right, maybe, well, just let me know what you think when I'm shooting this video with. But let's continue on. Oh yeah, 4K on the Canon M50. Now, you don't have the phase detect autofocus, which is the dual pixel autofocus. You have contrast detect autofocus, which is slow as shit. Okay, moving on. Now, like I said, this list goes into what annoys me the most, what I hate the most, to what really doesn't bother me, and something that this is nitpicking. So this is nitpicking right now. The battery, why is it not the same with the Canon M5 and the Canon M6? I literally have both cameras, and I bought a million batteries for the Canon M5 and the Canon M6. It's just annoying to me, but if you just start with the Canon M50, then you'd be fine. But I bought like a million more batteries for the Canon M50, which is fine, but I'm not sure why there is a loss of congruence with the mirrorless line. You would think like they would have all the same batteries just like the EOS line. Anyway, exposure change. Now, a lot of people have mentioned this in my previous videos, and you actually do not notice the exposure change gradually when you vlog with the camera. Now, if you put it up against a very quick camera like the G7X Mark II, leave you a link in the card above if you want to see that comparison. But exposure change is a little slow, and Canon, maybe for a firmware update, can you update so we can actually change the speed that the exposure changes with this camera? I know exposure changes depending on the scene. Sometimes it's just fast, but sometimes it's slow. But more than not, it actually changes the exposure, just like I showed you guys in the video with the Canon G7X versus video. But maybe there's an option where we can set the camera, the Canon M50, to change exposure a little faster. I don't know if that's possible, but I've noticed all of the Canon mirrorless cameras, the exposure change is very gradual, which is nice and it's pretty, but it doesn't do much for us vloggers when we want to point here, then point there, when we can go from dark to light, especially when we point to a subject and point back to us. It's a little odd. Like I said, work around your cameras. Now, no way to change focus rack speed. So, one of the best things about the Canon M50 is you can pick your focus where you want to focus on the touchscreen, which is nice and all. But correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But unlike the Canon 80D or the professional cameras, you can change the rack speed. You can change the focus speed from A to B. Now, this camera doesn't have it. I understand it's a consumer camera, but come on. I'm sure there's a way you can do it real quick. Maybe a little menu change. It shouldn't be that hard. But anyway, rack speed, focus, rack speed, being able to control that. That'd be nice. Ooh. Okay, now I'm getting into the things that are really doesn't really bug me because I really don't want these features, but it'd be nice to have. Now, Canon M50 shoots amazing photos, but the burst speed is great, but the buffer sucks. I don't know how many photos I can take with this. It's very short. So let me do this. I have it in, let me put this in the camera into AV, take some photos. Okay. That maybe will be like 10 photos. That's... I just ran out of buffer speed right there. That is in RAW. Now you can take a few more photos if you set it to JPEG. Let me let you hear what JPEG sounds like. Let me turn off RAW and set JPEG. This is JPEG large, which is good, but you always gotta shoot RAW. Isn't that bad in JPEG, but shooting RAW is where it's at when you're shooting photos. Buffer needs to be a little bigger, and I understand this is the middle of the road in the mirrorless series, but you know, it's something that I would like to see a little bigger buffer size, especially for shooting RAW. Now, the sensor on the EVF, I did a video about this. This is a really annoying sensor. I'll leave you a link up there. And there's a way to turn it off, thank God. But, I know the other companies, other camera companies have this issue too. But come on, Canon, there must be some very sophisticated way so it'll detect that it's an eye up to the viewfinder and then turn off the screen and change it over. Because this whole sensor where it's proximity, it's okay, but it's annoying if you really don't want to use the screen and you just accidentally rub your hand over the sensor. Now the last one is very minimal because most people that buy the Canon M50 won't really care for this, but I want a clean, the Canon M50 does not have a clean HDMI output. And like I said, most people that buy the Canon M50 probably won't even care about that feature, but a clean HDMI output would allow me to hook this up to an Atmos HDMI recorder and record off camera, you know, a very clean signal. Okay guys, I ranted a lot. Like I said, Canon M50, a very amazing camera. This video was actually asked by a viewer of mine, and you know, I'm not trying to be a fanboy of Canon, but I am a fanboy of Canon. I do use other camera company cameras, but like I said, what do you think I'm using to shoot this video? It's 4K. But yeah, guys. Canon M50, amazing camera. Besides these little features that the camera doesn't offer, or the camera, you know, it gets annoying, but amazing camera. You see my vlogs up there. If you haven't, go watch them. Woo! I'm talking a lot. Now, like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, peace out. Oh, yeah.